Alright guys, welcome back to another episode of Greenberg's Barn.
Greenberg's barn.
Today's episode, we're finally getting to work on this guy. I found him in a dumpster. He is definitely very beat up, got a bunch of stuff going on, like just some pressure dings, like, I don't know, it's maybe a dumpster board, but I'm definitely gonna work on fixing it up. I think it's gonna be super fun to ride. When I found it, you can see a picture here. This is what it looked like when I first found it. Now I've taken off the wax and all that stuff. I took off that ugly ass stomp pad, and she's looking pretty clean on the top. Definitely got like some air space right here in between the foam, like the lamination and the foam. It's got this nice little nose ding going on right here, but once I get the nose and the tail fixed, she's gonna go good in the water. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. It's got so much volume up front, like super thick up front, and she's only maybe like 6'6" or like 6'5" or something. She's pretty short. I think it's gonna be a fun single fin. All right, so today we're trying our best. We're gonna fix up this tail ding, and yeah, you're gonna watch me along the way. So let's go. First thing you're supposed to do is kind of tape off the area. So that's what we're doing. They say about 1 inch or 2 back from where it's at, so let's try that. And now she's taped off. The next step, you're gonna be sanding down the outside area of it. I'm working with a 40 grit, I believe. I'm just gonna go really slow and see what happens. Yeah, I think the 40 grit was okay. I don't think you can really f up here with what grit you use, because you're really just trying to sand it down. And I'm pretty happy. That was cool. That was the first time I did that. Let's move on to the next step. All right, Suncure resin. We're using sanding resin right now. I'm gonna use maybe like 1/2 ounce for this little guy. Who knows, maybe it will work, maybe it'll be enough, maybe it'll be too much. So we got our sanding resin. We got our catalyst, Fix Doctor. It's MEKP is what you want. MEKP for your hardener. And I got the Cabasil. And I got a low cup. Shake well before using. So we're gonna try and do like 1/2 ounce. Was that too much? And now you use your Cabasil. This is what you use to put inside and like froth it up, fluff it up. And we're gonna use enough until you get like frosty texture. So we're gonna put that in. And we stir it up. Ooh, this seems to be just like surfboard foam pretty much. I'm just using gonna need to use a lot more Cabasil. I wish I had like a little spoon or something. I'm going very slow. We're just gonna keep on mixing in Cabasil until we get a nice cake-like. I think that might be enough. But now we gotta add our hardener. And I think hardener is only necessary because we're using the catalyst, or sorry, hardener is only necessary because we're using the Cabasil. And he didn't specify how much to put in, so I'm just gonna put in like a couple drops. 1, 2, 3, 4, it was more like 8 drops. And we're gonna try our best to mix in that catalyst. And what I'm seeing here is very similar to just what like normal Suncure that comes in the tube is. I think that's what I'll have here, is just like normal Suncure that comes in the tube. All right, it's nice and mixed up. It's a little thicker than frosting, but let's go for it. Should be enough to really get on there and paint on. Yeah, I think I kind of nailed it with the amount. I wouldn't want to have used much less. We're going to really cake it on there, and you can always sand it down later. Got plenty of extra over here, so I would say about a half ounce, maybe less than half an ounce of that sanding resin would have been fine. And also, I might have not needed to use this type of resin. Could have just used the stuff that comes in the sun cure. All right, this is really globbed on here. Let's try and drift over. And I think you can just kind of go right over the tape because you're just going to sand it down off anyways. We're going to be using fiberglass after this, so this probably isn't necessary how much detail I'm giving in right now. But let's see. Really like the texture I got going on over here. It's like very nice and glassy coming over the top. It's kind of goopy at the bottom of the tail. Like if I had the board up right side up at the top of the tail, it's kind of goopy. But I'm trying to shape that up. And I think we want it to be pretty flush actually. So I'm gonna kind of just like come across the top with the part that is like already good. All right, so I think I'm pretty happy with what I've done with the resin. I'm gonna let it sit for a couple hours. It's kind of on there nice, seems pretty good, pretty tight. I have this much extra resin sitting inside. What do you guys think I should do with it? Do you just throw your stuff out? Let me know in the comments. What do you do with extra resin? I think you just gotta throw it out, right? All right, so we'll come back in a couple hours and see what's happening. Okay guys, so I got some sun coming through into the barn, and I was thinking might as well just let it be in the sun. It should cure quicker. My big question as I keep learning and keep growing with shaping surfboards, the resin I'm using, sun cure resin. I know without a hardener and without Cabosil, it will definitely cure in the sun. My question is, do I need to use hardener in the future? Can I just use the sun cure with the Cabosil and then bring it out in the sun and skip the whole hardener thing? That's the question when using this type of resin. And with the Cabosil, can I let it cure in the sun? I'm gonna let it sit for a couple hours, kind of in the sun. It's indoors, but some sun's coming through. Yeah, I hope you guys in the comments can help me out with that question. We're back with this tail ding, and the sun definitely cured it up nice and quickly. So it's definitely nice and hard and cured. I think it's good to go on to the next step. Okay, so the next step would be to peel back the tape, but I went over it pretty heavy, so we're just gonna sand over that. The next step is also sanding this down. I'm gonna use the 40 grit. Is this 40 grit? Let's double check. Yeah, it's 40 grit. This is 40 grit. I'm gonna go super slow again, and we're doing the laminating and then another one, so apparently you can go pretty far down. There's definitely a nice layer of chunk going on right here. So yeah, I'm just gonna go slow with the 40 grit. Okay guys, just to make a note right now, 40 grit is definitely what you want to be using because it's taken me a while to get down and I'm applying pressure. So definitely use 40 grit when you're working on stuff at this point, and we're gonna keep going and update you when I'm ready. Some of you guys are also probably wondering why I still got the fin on. It's because it's like lodged in there. I can't get it out and don't want to break it. Definitely take the fin out if you can while working on dings. The next step is we're going to take some sanding paper, another bit of 40 grit, and you're going to want to do the rails by hand because you can go too quick with that. So I'm going to get some 40 grit and keep working. So this is just a sheet of 40 grit. Disc for the 40 grit. I'm just going to take it and keep working it by hand. I'm going to flip the board over and show you guys the top just to see what happened. So yeah, see how much in there I can get. Can't probably see that well, but we got kind of going over the top so I can rip. Oh, this is interesting. Let's see what happens when I rip this off like this. Okay, so you can peel the tape back. Probably should be wearing gloves for this part, but... Okay, well that's interesting. So the tape was on there, it totally protected it. So let's keep sanding down. So here's the top part. Just gonna kind of work it on. I'm realizing it's like, definitely didn't fully cure. Yeah, where the tape is. That's maybe a bit of an issue. Try and sand it down. I hope it's not too bad. But where the tape is quite far away from the prime ding. I'm learning I might be sanding too early, but we're gonna continue and then let it dry probably overnight, and I'll kind of pause, but I'll just keep going on this until I'm ready to wait for it to fully, definitely cure overnight. Oh. Okay guys, so yeah, that's what's happening. I don't think it's too big of a problem because we're gonna put laminating resin and then another layer of this sanding resin on, but I'll share with you my concerns. So basically, this sanding resin is kind of just like chipping off. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and just like, it seems very nice and solid over here, but it's starting to kind of chip off. So I think I'm gonna leave it how it is, try and just get it as seamless as possible. I don't think it's a huge deal, but we're gonna keep going. Anyone who knows way better than me, please write in the comments what I did wrong, or if it's okay for this to kind of be chipping at this stage and I should just stop. And what I am gonna do is stop, put the laminating resin on, and just keep going. Hope it gets better. Okay, so that's relatively seamless right there. We're gonna leave it as is. Over here, it cured great. So I think the problem is I didn't put the tape high enough. I should have put the tape higher, and then I wouldn't have had that problem. Anyways, we're gonna move on to now laminating. So what we're doing here is cutting out a piece of fiberglass, which we're gonna lay down. Just gonna cut out a relatively small piece, because my ding ain't that big. I know what I should do is, the guy in the tutorial is doing this kind of stuff. That'll make it fold a lot nicer. Okay, it's interesting. We'll lay it down like that, and definitely gonna want to take a little off the top. So keep in mind, my ding is only this bit right here, where my finger is. So I'm taking this much fiberglass, putting it over the ding, and then we're gonna drip some laminating resin on, and we're gonna fold it over. So let's try this out. Laminating resin. We're gonna take this, put it in a little cup. First we gotta shake it up. Make sure you shake it up, shake it up, shake it up. That was probably too much. Who knows? Nice and green inside there. I'm gonna put some hardener in. I don't know if I need to do this, but I'm doing it anyways. I don't have any more sun. We're gonna let this harden overnight. Just a couple drops. 1, 2. Stir it up really nice. Okay, and then as my man in the tutorial did, he kind of let the laminating resin like drip on the side of it, like, oh no! I thought that was gonna happen. All right, I think we're still good. I'm gonna kind of hold it so that doesn't happen again. So you let it like saturate on the sides a little bit. I'll pour a little bit like right here, just to kind of get it going on the top. So maybe that can hold it down a little bit. Yeah, that was the right move. You got to hit the top first and then peel it to the outsides. Kind of want to move this over a little bit. Got to wear your gloves, guys. Okay, this is looking good. All right, so you get your laminating on. Make sure you have it positioned properly. Yeah, wow, it just really eats up that fiberglass. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do, got one of your brushes. You can pour a little bit more on there, just a tiny bit. Now we're gonna use that to paint it over the sides. Doesn't seem to want to go. It went nice over here because there's quite a bit of the laminating resin. Like, let it drip. That's key, to let it drip and like saturate into the sides. Also letting this drip into a garbage can. Probably should have a, oh Jesus. Got some on my pants. Let it saturate the sides over here. And we're going to paint it on over. Alright, note to self, wear pants. I'm wearing shorts and I got a little bit on my shorts. Could have been my leg. Got lucky there. Okay. This is not the easiest to work with. Probably need to just put a little bit more on. Let it drip. Yeah, that's quite a bit nicer. Alright, so you can play around a lot with this and paint it on real nice. So it's definitely like sliding around a lot, which is interesting. Guess it's going to harden soon. So I put that hardener in there. Maybe I should just be a little more delicate with my brushes. Because like if you brush really hard, it will kind of shift the resin around, the fiberglass sheet. Wow, I'm loving how it like makes the fiberglass like look like it disappeared, which is perfect. That's what I was hoping. I was kind of worried because fiberglass looks so thick and strong. This is so cool, guys. Okay, we're gonna keep playing around and painting this on. Light strokes now because it's starting to harden. You don't want to pull it and move the position, but I can see some strands kind of starting to come up here, so I'm gonna drizzle a little bit on the top. Yep, see, it's just like not sticking fully. Let's see if we can really paint that down. You know what? In the tutorial, the guy does another layer of fiberglass to wrap around from the top. I might do that as well. I don't need to because my ding ends here, as you guys saw. It doesn't like fully chop off like his nose ding is. But it might not hurt to add that extra layer of fiberglass. I think it's definitely starting to harden, which is good, which I want. Debating on, yeah, it. Let's put on another layer on the top and flip it over. Alright, so I got this little piece of fiberglass here. I'm going to kind of cut and lay it on top. The way I see it, more fiberglass can't really hurt. You're just adding more protection, right? So let's get that kind of, yeah, it looks nice. Spread it around. Let's get our brush. Must use gloves, guys. This stuff somehow managed to just get everywhere. And the way I see it, I'm just kind of painting it on. It like fades in with it, disappears. It's really cool. Gotta make sure it somehow sticks. I think I'm pretty happy I added this fiberglass to the top because it certainly cannot hurt to have the extra bit. Okay, let's flip it over and make sure the bottom is kind of stuck and done its thing. We still got a little bit of extra resin left over. Can probably drizzle it on top. That's what it looks like. Pretty good. Pretty on there. Definitely drizzle a little bit more and paint it on. Lightly, mon. Don't want to shift around the fiberglass. Okay, now I'm going to let it stop brushing, just let it dab and kind of hopefully dry because the strands are starting to lift up a little bit. tiniest bit right there and let it just kind of soak in. And we will be sanding with sanding resin after this, so no worries, Mom. Okay, sweet. When this is dry, I'll come back and move on to the next step. So, where we left off last night, I laid down the fiberglass with some laminating resin and I let it dry overnight. I also decided to wait till this morning because I wanted to get some sun on it. Make sure it is definitely hardened. It's a little, nah, it's not sticky. But the laminating resin has definitely hardened. And now the next step is we're gonna lay down some sanding resin and then it will really take shape and it should be just about done. This is also what the top ended up looking like. So you can see I wrapped the fiberglass around to the top and you can see some of the strands still there. Overall, it looks relatively clean. For my first try, I'm pretty hyped, man. First try, let's go. Didn't break the board in half? Okay. Okay, now that the laminating resin is fully cured, we're doing a very light coat of sanding resin to put on the top and the bottom. And then we're pretty much done. This is pretty easy. You're just kind of like painting this stuff on. And I'm not putting any hardener on this because I'm not using any Cabasil. So I think it should be fine to use this sanding resin since it's sun cure sanding resin, and I'll just let it sit out in the sun. And it should cure on its own. If you have other types of resin, I think you're going to need to use the catalyst. Now I need to put it on the other side, but I don't want this laminating resin to start dripping if I flip it upside down. I don't know. Might be fine. Seems like it's starting to gel. Let's see if it starts to drip. It's starting to kind of get this last bit of sanding resin. Okay, now we're going to go outside and let it cure in the sun. So we've let the sanding resin cure itself out in the sun, and I gotta say I'm pretty happy with the way it looks. It's super glossy, quite different than the laminating resin. The laminating resin doesn't get this type of gloss, and I'm really liking the way the sanding resin has cured right now. And the next step, pretty much the final step, is we're gonna take a bunch of different types of sandpaper, shape it to how we want, and then we're pretty much done. I'll give you a little closer look at what we got going on here. I don't know what kind of detail you guys can see, but that's it. Next step, sand her up, baby. So I still got the 40 grit sandpaper on there, which I'm going to go very lightly with and see how it goes, and eventually we're going to end up at an 800 grit. We're going to slowly work our way up. Definitely had a nice buildup of some type of resin. I think it's the laminating resin over here. Overall, the sanding resin seems to be doing pretty good on this side. We'll try and patch this part up right here, get it off. Okay, now I think we can take some just hand sander to it and kind of go slow with it. So now I'm going to start working with a 120 grit. Just kind of get going. Coming together. I think it's time to move up to something a little less gritty. So let's try 220. Alright, so we've been moving slow. I'm going to take the 40 grit off of this one. I'm going to put on a 320 and just kind of play around with that. Ooh, baby. Almost seamless. I think when you get to the 800, it really will become seamless. That's the goal, right? I mean, it's already pretty good. Yeah, I think it's definitely ready for like an 800 or something. It's pretty good. I mean, it's not perfect, you know, it's my first time going for it, but certainly should be watertight. Now finally, some up, can't see it, this is 800. And I think that's good for me. There's a bit of a chip right here, but don't think I want to sand too much further down to try and level it out. I think I just gotta like leave that chip be. It's pretty smooth along the top. Sides are good, rails feel good. Feels pretty flush. And that's about it, guys. That's how you fix a ding. Well, that's it. That's how to fix a ding. I hope you enjoyed the video. I had a lot of fun making it. I'm gonna go over some notes right now just to recap kind of what I learned from the experience. If it was up to me, I would have a higher workbench. This thing was a little too short and kind of bending over all the time. So you want something about chest high so you really are comfortable while you're shaping. Definitely wear pants and long sleeves, also socks. You don't want to get this resin on you. It's super easy just to fling around, so definitely be safe. Wear your mask, wear your gloves, long pants, long sleeves, you'll be good. Overall, with the result, I'm pretty happy. There are some light chips, and it's not fully flush in some areas, but I decided I would rather it be a little ugly and still be watertight than sand too far down and risk, you know, kind of fucking up what I did, you know? So yeah, if you could like and subscribe, that would be huge. If you're gonna share it with a friend, that would be awesome. Anyone who wants to get into shaping surfboards or learning how to fix dings, please share it. And if you're gonna buy any of the supplies that I shared in this video, please use my affiliate links. They're in the description. They don't cost you anything more, but they help me grow a lot. They support me through a little bit of commission if you're to use the links. Again, they don't cost you anything, but if you use them, it helps me out a lot. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.